talk Penn State, Mike.
Talk a little Penn State.
You just thought when he was going to settle down. He had a great announcements almost 2 days in a row with recruiting. Some guys for 2014, receivers, big guys. Yeah. And then that was all positive. Nittany Nation was excited. And then Stephen Bench comes out of nowhere that he's going to be leaving the school after he graduates. Or not graduates this year. After this semester's done, he's moving on.
He's out.
And
he's vapor.
I didn't think Stephen Bench, the little bit I got to see him last year in some games, I didn't think he was the starter for down the road. I didn't really think this was the future of the team. But I thought he was a quality player enough that could sort of fill the gap in. And I can appreciate why he wants more than to fill in the gap between Ferguson and Hackenberg taking over, and Hackenberg's the future. Mm-hmm. But how much of a surprise was this announcement?
I think it was a surprise. I think it reflects, I certainly was surprised. I think everybody was surprised. I think it reflects two things. Number one, I think the reality of these sanctions is that Bill O'Brien is going to have to manage his roster almost like an NFL team, almost like a 53-player roster. That's one thing. And number two, Bill O'Brien has a real specific idea of what a quarterback is, and it's a lot more than just the physical on-the-field football stuff. And I think every year that he's a head football coach, he's going to one of his primary goals is I'm going to find my Tom Brady.
Yep.
I'm going to find a guy that I can have the relationship that I had with Tom Brady. He's not going to get the guy with the physical skills of Tom Brady at Penn State, obviously, but he wants to find his Tom Brady every year. And I think he looked at Stephen Bench and said, is it going to make my life easier in terms of finding my Tom Brady to have Bench there and have three guys competing for it? I'm including Christian Hackenberg and the JUCO transfer Tyler Ferguson, or having two. And he said, it's two. Now, I think a couple things go into that. One, from what I hear, and I don't hear a lot, but I've heard a couple people say, Ferguson has established a reputation as a really hard worker. He's doing all the stuff in the quarterback room that he once done, and that O'Brien once done. And I'm okay with Ferguson, so Bench is going to be. I had a meeting with Bench. You're not going to compete for the number one. You can stay if you want, but you're not going to compete for the number one job. And Bench decided to transfer, freeing up a scholarship, which is a precious commodity with the NCAA sanctions. Again, getting back to that NFL-sized roster.
Again, I got no problem with Stephen Bench, and I didn't think about that. That's a good thing, too. He frees up the scholarship. He's not just going to stay at the university and, it's like some players have done.
Right.
Now, I think O'Brien's a straight shooter, and that's part of what this is. It's like, and also 2 years in a row, way before they get to August training camp, he's established who number one is. So it's clear. There's no wishy-washy going on here. That we know who it is, and everybody's going to fall in place.
Well, I don't know how Hackenberg
You're right.
it.
Hackenberg could throw a wrench. I still keep thinking they want to redshirt him. They want to redshirt Hackenberg for a number of reasons. One, he's behind the eight ball now. He hasn't been there for spring practice. And two, that was the way he'll have 2 bowl-eligible years to play. We'll see on that. I still think O'Brien looks for a guy who can go to the line of scrimmage, make reads, has those leadership skills you're talking about, and if Ferguson is displaying that more, and it's just how you look in the jacket. The old Brady bunch, Johnny Bravo. You got to look good in the jacket.
Wow.
How do you look good in the suit? And I think that plays it. Now, who are the backups then? If Ferguson's the first guy, Hackenberg is the backup, but they want to redshirt him, we think. Who are the other guys that are there on campus?
Well, he has two. One is named Austin Whipple, and the other one is named DJ. I think it's DJ Crook or something like that.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure I screwed up that name. I apologize to DJ, but they're both walk-on, true freshmen, early enrollees. So they got spring practice. They both played a little bit in the blue-white game, and that's another part of this. Is I think O'Brien kind of looked at those two kids and said, they could probably give me 80, 85, maybe 90% of what Stephen Bench can give me without burning a scholarship. Again, I think that probably, maybe not, but maybe that was a small part of his thinking. And O'Brien is an incredibly confident, incredibly decisive guy, and that's part of this. That's part of what this is. Not to dump on Joe Pa, but think about how the previous regime would have screwed around with this and gone into the middle of next season, if not farther, without having a decision. You're not going to see that with Bill O'Brien.
Think about the years past when at Penn State. Mills and
Zach Mills, yeah,
and I'm trying to think.
Well, Morelli and Darryl Clark is a really good example.
Robinson and Mills before that, but Morelli, as I was going to get into that one. Yeah. Do you think Morelli would have been playing in Ann Arbor that year with Darryl Clark as your backup?
Well, there was a lot of things that went into Ann Arbor that year. That was a whole. That's a whole other two segments.
It was a winnable game.
But no question, it was a winnable game.
The quarterback screwed.
Your point is excellent. Morelli would not have been playing because Morelli did not ace the test of all this body language and all this smartest guy in the room and most knowledgeable. All these intangible things that go into O'Brien's image of finding his Tom Brady. Morelli would not have been that guy. Darryl Clark would have been much closer to being that guy.
Makes a leader, and that's what they're looking for. Who fits the jacket, and that's what makes the leader. And that's, I think, O'Brien he's decisive. He finds it, and you move forward.
No question.